You go on the.
Okay, Richard, would you read your reading again, please? That's the text for the sermon.
Okay.
Fly bomb. I have a fly dive bombing me.
Oh,
I guess he sees that airplane there.
yeah. He thinks it's an airport.
Okay. Book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 8 through chapter 2, verse 10. Now there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, "Look, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it happen in the event of war that they also join our enemies and fight against us, and so go up out of the land." Therefore they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh supply cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were in dread of the children of Israel. So the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service in which they made them serve was with rigor.
Okay, that's far enough. Thanks. There arose a Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. When Joseph's brothers and his father moved their households to Egypt, they were welcomed. In fact, they were honored. Time grew, and others joined them, and they were wealthy. They were doing well, and there came a Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. And he came to fear the people of Israel. The descendants, sorry, this fly is driving me nuts. They came to fear the children of Jacob, children of Joseph and the brothers, and the people that joined around them. So things got different. Things change over time. People forget what has happened before. To be separated from history, to not know history, is to separate ourselves from the future, which is what Pharaoh actually did for him and his people. And it changed things for the people of Israel. Instead of being honored now, they were persecuted. It doesn't happen to any of us. In Revelation, we read where God chides one of the churches for forgetting their first love. He said that I know your good works and that you oppose the Nicolaitans who were heretical Christians, but you have lost your first love. do again your first work. It is important that we remember why and how we came to be and what we are supposed to be about. Jesus is our Savior. And I will tell you that I did this before, but in case somebody listens to this on YouTube, they need a story. The, the thief on the cross next to Jesus who said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. That man in this illustration shows up at heaven's gate, and an angel says, what basis do you come in to heaven? And he said, I'm not sure what you're asking. The angel said, well, let me help you. Can you explain to me the doctrine of justification by faith? Well, no, I've not heard of that. Well, tell me about your catechism. What is that? Well, what church do you belong to? I don't belong to a church. What? When were you baptized? I wasn't. Well, then how do you expect to come into heaven? And he said, well, the man on the middle cross said I could come. That is our first love. That is our standard by which we are measured. It's all about the one on the middle cross. Excuse me. It's all about the one on the middle cross. It's about Jesus. Everything else comes through him and for him and by him. So when we forget that, we lose our way. As far as the Church of God, we came into being 140 years or so ago as a witness to Christ and to call the church to unity. There are those among us now who have no idea about that. And instead want to divide us from other groups. This is foreign to our nature. It's foreign to our calling. So our job is to serve Christ and encourage all Christians to be one together. I often say that when we go to heaven, our neighbors will be the Christians we didn't like down here. Probably not true literally, but in a sense, it's spiritually true. We are called to be one. The night before Jesus died, he prayed that we would all be one, as he and the Father are one. So we have honored that request by, in 2,000 years, we've created more than 40,000 different denominations and sects. That seems strange for a people who say that Christ is their Lord. I think it's because some people don't want to give up their power, and a lot of people would rather be right than loving. The problem is, if we're right doctrinally and not loving, we're still wrong. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13, if I speak with a tongue, if I speak with the tongues of men and angels and have not love, I'm a clanging God. I'm a sounding gong and clanging cymbal. Even if I give my body to excuse me, sorry. Even if I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profits me nothing. Love is what Jesus came to bring. Paul finishes that chapter saying 3 things remain: faith, hope, and love. The greatest of them is love. We are never going to be unified because we agree on all doctrinal issues. Doctrinal unity will not come through uniformity. I don't even agree with myself. 20 years ago, I believed different things than I do now. Some things I still hold to, but other things I feel like I've grown out of. We can't expect everybody to be at the same place at the same time. When I was in college, my roommate's girlfriend, when I was a freshman, she was dressed up in these business-like suits. And I dressed like I did before I came to college. In the winter, I dressed in a flannel shirt and blue jeans and cowboy boots. In the summer, I went to a t-shirt. But she told me that I needed to dress up more because Christians should represent Christ and look good all the time. Now, by the time we got to our senior year, we had all the Vietnam War protests and college students were wearing fatigues. And I was wearing my blue jeans, my t-shirts, and my cowboy boots. And in the winter, a flannel shirt. And she said to me, Richard, she was wearing fatigues. You know, when you may or may not remember that a lot of young people wore army fatigues around that time. She said, Richard, you dress up too much. You need to not put on airs. So she went from one end to the other. I stayed the same, but the expectation that I should be where she was at the same time. Now, I think that how we dress in a certain sense is important, but it's not very important. It's how we live that's important. We used to think in the Church of God that holiness meant that we couldn't wear neckties. For men, we couldn't wear jewelry, couldn't wear makeup, a lot of other things that we couldn't do, which was really holiness is not what we can't do, it's what we should do. And it's a gift of God that He gives us. We have, when we warp our theology, we cause problems, but we cannot expect everybody to be at the same place we are at the same time. We are to maintain unity in the bond of love, which brings us back to love, which brings us back to the passage in Revelation that says, I have this against you, you have lost your first love. Go again and do your first works. In another place, Paul says to his readers I cannot give you meat because you still are on milk. We're not all at the same places at all times, but we are supposed to love one another at all times. In fact, we are especially supposed to love those who don't agree with us and those who harm us. We're to turn the other cheek. When I was a young man, I thought God was calling me to be a coward. What I didn't realize is He's calling me to be to a greater courage. He didn't say turn your cheek and run away. He said turn your cheek and stand there and take it and let Him hit you on the other one. Jesus showed us this when He died on the cross. When He was dying, He asked God to forgive the people who had just driven nails through His flesh. Jesus conquered evil by absorbing it and coming out on top. God gives us the same grace. We do not have to respond with the tools of evil. We can respond with good. It's very easy to get lost in what we're doing at present and forget what God has done for us from the beginning. We are to be people of hope who live in the grace of God, who have mercy for other people, who care about other people, whether they care about us or not, and we belong to other Christians, whether they agree with us or not, even on big issues. We are not the judge. We are not given that task, and we should not pick it up. Jesus told a story about the weeds and the wheat. And the servants of the farmer asked him if they should pull up the wheat. And he said, no, let them grow, because if you pull the weeds up, you may pull up some wheat. We need to join with other people who proclaim Christ and not judge them. Let the judgment take place when God chooses. Let us work together where we can and love and forgive each other where we can't. Let us lead the way to one church, one God, one baptism, one God and Father of us all, as it encourages us in the 4th chapter of Ephesians. There is one God, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. That is what we're called to. That's who we should be. If we cannot love each other when we disagree, we are truly not acting in the Spirit of Christ. Even the rich young ruler who came and asked him what to do to be saved, it said Jesus looked at him and loved him. Even though he went away sorrowful, it didn't say that Jesus did not love him. Loving is not easy. Loving isn't this warm, sticky feeling in your stomach. Love is patient and kind. It keeps no account of wrongs. It does not judge. Instead, it does not take joy in the wrong, but rejoices in the right. It believes all things, hopes all things, overcomes all things. Love never fails. As for prophecies, they will cease. For when the complete comes, the incomplete is swallowed up. But love does not cease, it is eternal. And we are called to be loving people, people of the cross, people of the road of faith. And I think that all of us here are, and yet I think all of us also here struggle with it, because it's not easy. It will never be easy, but it is what Christ did for us and what he calls us to do for others. May the Lord bless you this week. May you have opportunities to show love to other people. And Caroline will be praying for you on Wednesday for your surgery. Amen.